The Great Storm of Boxing Day 1998 by David Phillips. The Boxing Day storm of 1998 was a severe Atlantic windstorm that struck Northern Ireland, western and central Scotland, and most of northern England. It was the fourth major Atlantic windstorm since the Great Storm of October 1987. The storm began on the 24th of December 1998 as a low-pressure system taking in cold air from Greenland. The storm was very well forecasted by the Met Office in advance. 24 hours before the storm struck, weather forecasters gave out warnings of severe gales during Boxing Day afternoon and into the evening. Here is a weather clip from ITV.
Hello, good evening. Well, there's not much Christmas spirit at all about the weather at the moment, with storms expected tomorrow, especially over the northern half of the country. So Boxing Day morning, in eastern fringes at least, gets off to a bright start. Already, though, from very early on, we see heavy rain getting into the western half. And then during the course of the day, that fair old splashes right across England and Wales with heavy rain from time to time, and then falling as snow, again heavy for a time, on the hills there in Scotland. But the wind is our main concern tomorrow, with severe gales expected. Indeed, from time to time, gusting at around 90 miles an hour or so in Northern Ireland and Scotland, with damage bound to occur. Take care. That's all from me.
Power Gen. Power, whatever the weather.
The storm arrived on cue. It came in off the jet stream and into Northern Ireland on Boxing Day morning. Gusts were recorded at 60 to 70 miles per hour when it arrived in Northern Ireland, causing landslides on the Irish coast. At 3 p.m. the Atlantic depression deepened to 955 millibars. This produced storm-force winds across Ireland as structural damage was witnessed. The photograph you see here is of St. John's Primary School in Northern Ireland. The roof was torn off at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. The school remained closed for a further 3 days following the Christmas holidays to allow repairs. At 4 p.m. the storm began travelling eastwards towards the west coast of Scotland. It was not long before the storm caused chaos in Scotland and northern England. The photograph you see here is of St. Stephen's Church in Glasgow. The steeple collapsed at 10:03 p.m. and crashed into the church. At 11 p.m., the Hunterston B power station in North Ayrshire declared a Grade 2 emergency when sea spray disabled all 4 of its power lines. 50,000 customers were left without electricity for more than 24 hours. Peak gusts of 110 miles per hour was recorded at Malin Head in Northern Ireland at 7:14 p.m. Now let's hear from John Kettley, who was on broadcasting duties at the BBC in the run-up to the storm.
Hello there, David. I'm glad you got in touch with me. It's always nice to talk about weather events of the past, 10, 20, 30 years ago, whatever they happen to be. Of course, people do remember the 87 storm more than this one you mentioned, the Boxing Day storm of 1998. It isn't long remembered by any means. Of course, we didn't used to name storms in those days. It only became more prevalent since 2014, actually, we started naming the storms. But the 87 storm, of course, was not that well forecast by the Met Office. It is memorable because it affected London and South East Britain in particular. Now, the 1998 storm, I think we had progressed quite a bit in the following 10 or 11 years, so it was well forecast. I know I was on television in the run-up to that storm, and even in the previous 24 hours, we were talking about severe gales, storm-force winds almost, over 70 to 80 miles an hour, affecting northwestern parts of the UK. It did come in from the right place. It was well forecast because it was on the jet stream. It was taking in cold air from the area to the west of Greenland. And although temperatures in this country weren't that high, about 11 or 12 degrees, I think, ahead of the storm, it certainly was giving a contrast in temperature across the UK as that storm arrived. So, not surprisingly, it did deepen to about 955 millibars, I think. It swept into the north of Northern Ireland and eventually brought gusts up to 103 miles an hour, I think, at Prestwick. The storm force winds certainly affecting more western and northern parts of the UK in particular, but it was still very windy in the south. I don't remember it particularly where I was in Hertfordshire, except it was around about Boxing Day time, as you mentioned. So it is a time when a lot of people are actually at home, so we should remember it pretty well, shouldn't we? Just that we're probably opening our presents and eating chocolates and things like that at the time. But anyway, it was a severe storm, there's no question about that. A severe storm affecting more northern parts of the UK as opposed to 87, which was more for the southeast of Britain. Anyway, hope you like it. Hope you keep watching and still keep in touch with the weather in coming years. As I do, I just cannot retire. It's just a wonderful subject to be involved with. All the best to you, David.
At 2 a.m. on Sunday the 27th of December 1998. The gales abated as the storm moved eastwards into the North Sea. The estimated cost in damages was £1.9 billion. We will conclude this documentary by taking a look at this weather clip from Sunday the 27th of December 1998.
Good afternoon to you. Well, thankfully the Boxing Day storm is now moving away. The winds are going to stay pretty strong though for the next 24 hours. In fact, they could pick up again. There could be gales returning from the southwest through tonight and indeed into tomorrow as well. And the general scene for the next few days is for it to stay pretty windy. There'll be gales at times. It'll be mild though with the winds coming up from the southwest. Generally speaking, right the way through this coming week, we should see temperatures a little bit above the late December average, but there will be spells of rain to come as well. Now, it's not quite like that at the moment. We saw some snowfall this morning across in Northern Ireland. Indeed, that band of snow is affecting central and southern Scotland and down into parts of northwest England. Now, that band of snow is still giving a few centimetres above the higher ground, but there will be a slow improvement from the west through the afternoon. Brighter skies moving in, but still some fairly blustery showers affecting those southwestern parts. And the north of Scotland too, still quite windy, and further hail and snow showers to come there. Obviously, it's pretty chilly, just 3 degrees in some parts of the north, but way down in the southwest up to 9 or 10. That's at nigh on 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, tonight, this area of low pressure here will deepen. That'll introduce these gale force southwesterly winds. There'll be further squally showers feeding up the western side of the country. And again, sleet and snow will become more extensive across the higher ground of northern England up into central and southern Scotland. Touch of frost up there too. Further south, temperatures remaining about 3 to 5. So those strong winds keeping going during tomorrow. We'll find further squally showers feeding northwards. Indeed, a spell of more persistent sleet and snow gradually pushing northwards out of northern Scotland. But the eastern part probably seeing good shelter and very few showers getting through here. Well, the gale force winds will return on Tuesday. So it's out in the west where it'll be wet and windy. But for eastern parts of the country, a good deal of fine, bright weather. And we should see decent sunshine with that rain band eventually arriving probably well after dark, but it will linger on the eastern side as we get through to the middle part of the week, so more persistent rain affecting East Anglia and South East, and certainly for the far northeast of Scotland too. But gale force southwesterly is feeding in these squally showers into the west, but some sunshine nonetheless. Now, New Year's Eve, obviously a lot of question marks at such a range, but I think it is going to be pretty windy, and still the chance of some more persistent rain in this southeastern corner. Elsewhere, a good deal of dry and bright weather, but I think those winds are beginning to turn a bit chillier once again. I think top temperature perhaps only about 7 or 8 degrees on New Year's Eve. And out in the far southwest here, I think the rain pepping up, and it could become rather more extensive rain for a time before it darts away southwards. New Year's Day itself, probably not too bad, but some rain for the far northeast. That's it from me. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you for watching this documentary. I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.